14 points, I think, the Lions could just basically run the ball if we, and I think that they're going to make a point. Remember, Lions they the type of team that take receipts, man. You know what I'm saying? Remember, uh, I think they made it a point when they played against Ben Johnson, like say, hey, we gonna show this guy we can do it without him, that type of thing. I think the players said to a point, to a fault, that they felt kind of disrespected. Now you might say it's petty, you know what I mean, because you're an NFL player. Other people take, other coaches take jobs every year, so you can't take that personal. But you do need things as athletes to kind of get you motivated sometimes, you know what I mean? And it might be the slightest little comment or the slightest little thing that happened in the last game y'all played against each other. So players use things to motivate themselves, in different type of ways. So then you look at Baltimore's game, the Lions look, Dan Campbell, I'm sure he showed them the history of the Baltimore Lions matchup, how they beat us 2 years ago, but pretty much it was the same team that we had 2 years ago that lost to Baltimore, won that game. So now you fast forward to week 4. I think that the Lions, if it might be in your best interest not to play around the Cleveland Browns, man. A team that if they keep it close, in the fourth quarter, you got Myles Garrett, you got Malik Collins, you got Mason Graham, you got guys that make some plays and maybe they force fumble the ball or something, sack the quarterback. Weird stuff happen, man, when you're a better team than the team across from you, and you don't want to make this game close at all. You know what I'm saying? While I think you want to be able to put this team away, like Baltimore did. Baltimore played them, I think, 2 weeks ago, and it was a close game. I think it was 17-16 or something like that. And then Baltimore just went on a 31. I think they outscored them 31-14 or something in the second half. So they just showed that they were the superior team. And I think that's what we're going to see tomorrow. Um, we'll get into the picks later. You know what I mean? The point spread. You know me, anything over 8 points, I get nervous. About like trying to beat a team, via the point spread. Because the players see that too. But like you said, I agree with you in the pre-show. When you were saying that we're a better team on both sides of the ball. To me, I mean, they got Myles Garrett, but I think that collectively our unit is better. So I think that both teams want to go out and show, man, that whose defense is better. Like Jim Schwartz and Johnny Moe going back and forth. Well, our offense, they haven't seen no like our running game. Well, Jim Schwartz say, sure we have. We have seen some better running games than y'all. You know what I mean? So I think our offense, look for Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams. Those two guys I think need to get going a little bit. Laporta did last week. I think Jameson Williams had 2 catches in the game. But I can see us, if we can run the ball, it's curtains. I think the Browns, they may get blown out. I mean, that's the only thing I'm thinking, that maybe it might be a hard time for us on the ground, and we might have to go to the dink and dunk, then long play, nick them but don't cut them type thing. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Like, because I do think that the Browns are formidable defensively, but like you said, they can't, you can't stop everybody. I don't think they had the personnel to stop everybody. You know what I mean? I think that that's where 9 times out of 10 the Lions are going to be in it advantage, because they do have so many weapons, man. You know what I mean? The Browns only
Yeah.
danger because Myles Garrett. They like, man, he could game changer, which he is, Hall of Fame, player like that. For me, well, I'm just saying, just don't keep it close. I mean, you always keep a 10, 12, 14 point lead on this team, and then you basically do what you want offensively, where it's no pressure. You don't feel stressed. You don't feel like, we have to score on this possession, or, the game could turn. So,
Not agree. I push it close comparison wise to like what we were discussing before the show. It's similar to playing, well, being in a fight with one hand tied behind your back,
yeah.
you know, or making a basketball comparison. Comparison. You can be a one-dimensional basketball player in 5-on-5. You can be just a defender. You can be just a rebounder. You can be just a shot blocker. You can be just an assist guy, or whatever. But if you're talking about playing one-on-one basketball, if you can't dribble and you can't shoot, how do you expect to score? And I look at Cleveland, man. Defense, yeah, that defense has been good for the last 3 years, but eventually the levee's gonna break. You
Mm-hmm.
got to be able to score in order to win football games, man. And if you look at Joe Flacco, his situation, he's thrown a not touchdown, he's thrown an interception in all 3 games so far this season. They're dead. Like, hold up, let me go to these offensive stats real quick because I think these stats will actually prove a major point that I'm actually trying to make about this team. So, okay, so if you look at them defensively right now, they're 18th in the league in points given up, which is pretty good. They're number 1 in the league in yards given up.
Mm-hmm.
They're number 1 in first downs given up. This is all good. They're number 2 in pass attempts, so teams really aren't really throwing the ball against them that much, which is weird because I've noticed teams are trying to butt their heads against the wall against them, rushing the football, but they're just not having any success.
Yeah.
Now you can make the comparison with us in Green Bay. We're more dedicated to who we are identity wise, I believe, than Green Bay is. But they're also defensively, they're not getting too many turnovers. They are turning the ball over offensively, though. And if you go to the offense right now, they're 30th in the league in scoring, in points scored right now. They're
Yeah.
22nd in the league in yards, right there. They're 24th in the league in turnovers. They got 5 turnovers already through 3 games, which is terrible. They're 21st in the league in first downs gained. They're 24th in the league in touchdown passes. They got 3
Mm-hmm.
touchdown passes through 3 games and
Yeah.
4 interceptions. So I think everything right now, and then we're at home. We also discussed the fact that you and I both believe that if that game last week was in Green Bay, it probably goes differently. Cleveland
Yeah.
is a different team, playing in the dog pound, playing at home.
Yeah.
Um, that crowd, as bad as we may laugh at, I mean, as bad as we may think the Browns are as an organization, as many jokes as we may crack on the Cleveland Browns, that's still a tough place to play. I brought up the San Francisco 49ers 2 years ago. They destroyed the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night. Then they turned around the very next week, went to Cleveland with Brock Purdy. And who was the starting quarterback? Was it Tyrod Taylor or Tyler Huntley? Or it was, I forgot who it was.
Um.
It may have been Dorial Thompson, Robinson. I forgot who it
Yeah.
was, but
Yeah.
they beat San Francisco with a backup quarterback at home. So Cleveland is a tough place to play. And before we got to last week's predictions, I was still going back and forth about Green Bay. Like, I'm not sure if Green Bay goes there and wins. And I told you, if Green Bay lost there, I would not be shocked if Cleveland beat them at all. Now, they turned around and beat them. But
Yeah.
like I said, I truly believe if that game was in Green Bay, it doesn't go that way. You can
Yeah.
make the argument that if this game was in Cleveland, it would be tighter. It may not go that way. I don't see us with the offensive versatility we have, with the dedication to the run game we have, with the tandem we have at running back. Our
Yeah.
offensive line, mainly on the interior, has been a lot better since week 1. The play calling offensively has been a lot better since week 1. And
Yeah.
we seem to kind of hit our groove. Now, I do understand that Chicago, we also don't know what the hell Chicago really is. Chicago played an awful Dallas defense last week.
Mm-hmm.
But the prior week, we shut down Chicago. We was able to score a bunch of points on them, but we
Yeah.
still don't know how good they are. But now you're looking at a situation where, okay, we got a chance to see what y'all got. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure Dan Campbell and the entire coaching staff and the players, they watched all 3 Cleveland Brown performances this year. So they know exactly what they got, what they did to Green Bay. They know what they like to do offensively. I'm pretty sure Dan Campbell isn't leading this team into a situation where it's like, yeah, Flacco is this, he can't do this, he can't do that, they can't score, they can't move the football. He's going to have this team ready to play. I don't see any letdowns. When was the last time we had a letdown, honestly, bro?
It's been a
When was the
while.
last time we lost to a shitty team? And I'm calling them this because they're a team that's fighting with one hand behind their back. When was the last time we actually flopped a game? You could say
Yeah.
maybe the Commanders game, I don't know, in the playoffs. But it's been about what, almost 3 years
Yeah.
since we lost to somebody that we
We
had no
lost.
business listening to.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
we
losing
should.
to.
Yep. That we should shoot. Yeah, it's been a while because it's been a while since we lost 2 in a row. I think it's been 3 years since we lost 2 games straight. You know what I mean? So it's been, so it's a bit. It's been a turnaround, man. You know what I'm saying? A turnaround when you can't even find in recent history the question you just asked, that shows you that this team, this organization has turned the corner, man. That old stigma's gone. But yeah, get back to the Browns. I'm looking at defensively, if the Browns, okay, we mentioned Miles Garrett. Everybody knows, MG, he out there balling. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He's speak for himself, but
They got another MG
when,
too.
yeah, Mason Grant, yeah.
Former Wolverine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Tryon Shyanka. He's there too. I like him from came over from Tampa. Um, yeah, yep. Trey is right. I think he's right. When they last time they
and,
lost
and
to,
and that was the 9-win season.
yep, I think it was
Yeah.
Christmas Eve. I think that was a Christmas Eve game, if I'm not mistaken, and they lost that. Good, that's
Saturday.
yeah, good work, Trey. I think that was the last time they kind of lost, and we was like, man, how the hell they lose to them? What's up, everybody? What's up, A Dub? Um, man, it's always every Sunday is a journey. We always say, well, any team can beat any team on any given Sunday, and last week proved it. Like you said, I think if the Packers played the Browns again today, the Packers would beat them. You know what I mean? That type of thing. I'm not taking away from what they did. You gotta give them the credit. They won 13-10, but some things happened. They allowed some tendencies for Jordan Love to come back to haunt them. You know what I'm saying, and making them feel uncomfortable. And we know the only thing about that is with pressure of Jared Goff. Hopefully that doesn't come back and old habits come back. You know what I'm saying, to haunt us in this game if they're able to get to the quarterback. You know what I mean? It's going to be another test, I think, because I think their strength, Cleveland, is their defensive line. I don't see that. I like Greg Newsome at corner. I think he's okay. Denzel Ward's okay. You know what I mean? They got two really good guys. To me, this seems like a Jameson Williams and Sam Laporta game to me. You know what I mean? Because I don't think they got anybody. Schlesinger, the rookie from UCLA, I like him. I was wishing the Lions picked him.
What about
Linebacker.
Harold Fannin Jr.?
Yeah, I like him too. The
The
tight
tight
end
end from
from
Bowling Green? Yeah.
Bowling
We
Green. I was
talked
about
about
to say
him too.
Toledo. Yep.
Yeah.
And big body. I like him, man. But I think in Joku, they got two good tight ends. Like you said, Quinshawn Junkins runs the ball. They got my guy Isaiah Bond by default. You know what I mean? I think his draft stock dropped, and that was the only reason why he probably landed on Cleveland, because everybody passed on him. But that's another guy. He caught a couple passes last week against the Packers. So watch Isaiah Bond. He played with Matthew Golden in Texas. So I mean, he's good. And Cedric Tillman was with Jalen Hyatt at Tennessee. He's in his third year, I think, or second year
Big
with the
body
Browns.
wide receiver,
Yeah,
six
so that,
three, 200 plus.
and I do see them making some plays, because let's be honest, I think the weakness right now on this team is our secondary. Terry and Arnold got demoted, it sounds like, or going to get less snaps. We'll see, his usage on tomorrow, but
So did they bench him or did they just slide him inside? Because if they just moved him to nickelback, that's not a benching. He's still going to play. They just moved him from the perimeter to the slot.
yeah, it sounds like I watched Kelvin Shepard interview, and it sounds like he's going to get less snaps. So, like you said, maybe he's not going to the bench. He's basically, probably got to just catch his breath on in between plays, and kind of, it sounds like they might coach him on the fly, say, listen, this is what's going on out there. And I like that. And like you said, he might be, I think you even said that back weeks ago, like he might be better served to be inside. You know what I mean? He might be better for
Bro, I
them.
said that after the draft when
Yeah.
people were saying that he's going to be a lockdown corner on the perimeter, and I get it, because fans, when you get a brand new corner, especially around here, we cornerback starved around here. So when you take a cornerback in the first round, you're hoping that that guy turns out to be one of those number one shutdown elite type of corners. I said back then though, I felt that he was going to be better suited to play nickel, honestly. And me and you've been discussing this for the last year, man. I'm glad to hear Braylon Edwards say it on Woodward Sports. Same thing that we've been saying about Terry Arnold. That he's not the best athlete, and I understand some people feel like we make a bigger deal than we should out of athleticism of a corner. But let's be honest, man. The greatest corners in NFL history were all big time athletes. All of them. At least all of them who played on the perimeter were.
Yeah.
And it's like same thing Braylon Edwards said on Woodward Sports. It's tough going from dealing with a 6'3", 240-pound DK Metcalf who got Olympic speed one week. Then you dealing with 6 foot, 195-pound Jamar Chase who can route you up, can catch everything across the middle, can get deep on you, can make you look silly out in the open space.
Yeah.
Then you got Justin Jefferson, who's not really fast, but Jefferson's another route guy who
Yeah.
catches
Route
everything.
runner.
So you might be dealing with a Tyreek Hill soon. Then in next week, you got what? Kansas City. They got a track team over there on the
Yeah.
outside. So athleticism matters, man. And I don't want people to think that I don't want to see him succeed. That's ridiculous. I want to see my team win. I want to see everybody have success. But it's some of these things I think are rubbing people the wrong way too. The podcast with Patrick Surtain, and I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it, but he sounds like an excuse maker.
Yeah.
Like he always got an excuse for everything that's going on. And you
Yeah.
can tell he hears what people saying about him because he brings up the stuff that the media says about him and some of the fans say about him. Well, this is going on, and people don't understand that that's going on, that's going on. Bro, nobody wants to hear that. Just say I gotta play better. That's all you got to do is just say I got to play better, and things will work. But I think people will tolerate, fans will tolerate, and the organization they'll tolerate a podcast when you're playing well. But but when you're not,
Yeah. You can't. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yup. Yeah. I agree. Um, I'm not. I told you I was saying, man, I said on social media last week was like kind of my final. I've been riding with TA. You know what I'm saying, since we got him. I thought he would be the kind. He's trending up. Nick Saban said on draft night he got better every year at Alabama. The couple years he was there. You know what I'm saying, and then eventually inserted himself in the starting lineup. So for me, my thinking is, you, you got to be able to play to play for Nick Saban, right? But it's a big transition, man. I get it. Be playing corner in college is man, leaps and bounds different from the NFL. You know what I'm saying? And Kelvin Shepard pretty much was just like, yeah, this is what you sign up for. You sign a contract to play cornerback in the NFL. it, Basically, it ain't no excuses. You on an island, you know what I'm saying, and you don't get any help, man. You know
put
what
your
I'm
big
saying?
boy pants on.
Yeah, you don't, so that's why. But he defended him pretty much, saying that, listen, like the defensive line missed some plays too. You know what I'm saying? The Terran Arnold is just highlighted because once the ball come out of quarterback hands, basically the receivers there, and we see TA turned around. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, what I mean? For me, me, big proponent. You at least be in the area, at least be where you're supposed to be, man. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like he's not where he's supposed to be. You know what I mean? And I know it takes time. I know scheme wise, with maybe what terminology of what the lines are running. But for me, it just seems like guy on receiver, check receiver. For me, like you said, if you athletic enough, I don't care what the play is. You know what I mean? You should be able to guard anybody. You know what I mean? For me, if you that guy, you know what I'm saying? If you that guy. Now, if you not, then that's another conversation for another day. Do I think Terran Arnold days as a Lion is over? No, I don't think that's the case at all. But I do think we kind of in a bind a little bit, and I think because we don't have Rakestraw, another guy that we kind of had for insurance, that got in that same draft, and he's hurt.
Or
So
Carlton Davis.
yeah, Carlton Davis is out the door. DJ
Yeah.
Reed hasn't been that great, but what I can't say this, I can't. Well, I would defend Tyrion Arnold a little bit to an extent. That game, it was nobody open for Lamar. If he went back 4, 5, 6 times in that game, and it was like, I mean, they did start to collapse the pocket. We did in the fourth quarter. It was good to see. But okay, perfect example. Remember that for fourth down, that goal line stop. We stopped them boys at the goal line. Them boys they was in containment. They was covering. I mean, it was nowhere for Lamar to throw the ball. You know what I mean? So I can't say had some good moments. He did, but it's like, man, if it's 3rd and 20, you can't give up a first down. And for a lot of times, Terran Arnold if it's long yardage, he gives up that big play, man. That's the
Yeah.
only thing with him. So
Yeah.
I think that,
Also, yep.
and I think one more thing. Sorry, I want to cut you off.
Are you good? You
Um,
good?
I think what's good is, or what I do like about this coaching staff is they kind of see what we see a little bit with him, right? So now they're going to address it early. I think week 3, week 4, don't act like it's the elephant in the room and don't say nothing and wait till week 12 until you want to do something. Now I think right now is the best way to do it, man. You know what I'm saying? Maybe when we play Philly or maybe that Monday night game against Tampa, it'll be a different guy. Because, like you said, for him to not have maybe a couple pass breakups, no interceptions in his career yet, that's troubling to me. He should be able to
Yeah.
have an interception, or you know what I'm saying. He should have a couple right now in his
You're not
career.
it's that's making plays as a corner is your defense, your self-defense. I mean, we
Yeah,
talked about how a lot of people in the fan base kind of killed Carlton Davis a year ago for giving up catches. But at least Carlton made up for it later on in the game, whether it be a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, an
yeah,
interception here and there to kill a drive. You as a corner, you can't be out there just giving up yards, giving up catches, committing
yeah.
PIs, and not making up for it either. That damn near makes you unplayable, bro.
That's right. That's
And
right.
if you go back to the little bit, I ain't gonna say little bit. I don't want to play him like that. If you go back to Alabama and the success that he did have at Alabama playing next to Kool-Aid McKinstry, people forget Saban loved to play a lot of man coverage, a lot of man press on the outside. When he had Terry on, and he also, for those of you who watch college football, don't forget Caleb Downs, who's probably going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, the safety from Ohio State next year's draft. He was there, Terrion Arnold's last year at Alabama before he transferred to Ohio State. Caleb Downs erased a whole lot behind him because when him and McKinstry was playing the corners, not Caleb Downs, but Terrion and Kool-Aid,
And Kool-Aid, yeah.
Nick Saban played a ton of off man safety help on the back. And that was his help. You know, Caleb Downs erased a lot of mistakes that he made back there. And even if you go back to the interceptions that he had at Alabama, none of those interceptions he got were in phase. And what I mean by in phase was man coverage. You stand right there in the hip pocket of the wide receiver. You turn around, you make plays on the football. A lot of those interceptions he got, one of them came on a Hail Mary. Another one came on a complete overthrow where he just happened to be sitting in the zone and the ball found him. And another one was similar to that.
Hmm.
So that was also troubling to me. Like cornerbacks who don't get interceptions in college and phase kind of worry me too, because once you get to the next level, and some of this isn't his fault, because I think
Yeah.
when you talk about, hey, and people love to bring up Darius Slay. Well, Slay took a minute to get started. Slay was also in a situation where he was a man corner. That's what he was at Mississippi State. He had man corner skills. Slay was 6'1", 190, ran a sub 4 4. I think he ran a 4.36 coming out of college. He had man corner skills. They
Hmm.
tried to make him a zone corner. That's not what Slay was. The moment they took him out of that and started to put him in more man situations, that's when Slay took off. This guy here, he's not a man corner. He's not the best in zone either, unless you got safety help behind him.
Yeah.
So right now, he's a guy that's getting ate up. And in his defense, bro, they're not gonna stop picking on you until you make them stop picking on you.
You
You
gotta
got to
make them
bite
play.
back.
Yeah,
You
you
got to
gotta make
bite
them
back.
play. Yeah.
You got to make them stop. But they okay. You know what? But you brought the Philadelphia game. Philly ain't gonna play with them. You got AJ Brown out there. That's baby To out there.
Yeah.
You got
Devontae.
Devontae Smith out there. You got even though Josh Dotson isn't not Dotson.
Yeah,
What's his
Jahan
name?
Dotson. Yeah, the
Jahan
guy.
Dotson.
Hmm.
He's not the best, but he's adequate. He's a player out there as well. And then you talking about having to get out there and defend Saquon Barkley in the run game. Me personally, I'm not gonna say I'm done with Terrion, but I keep going back to the Commanders game in the playoffs. That 4th and inches,
Hmm.
when anybody with any football common sense knew it's 4th and inches, you out there on the boundary. Your responsibility is to squeeze the sideline to make sure the running back Eckler doesn't bounce outside and pick up the first down.
Yeah.
Why are you squeezing down to the line of scrimmage on 4th and inches? He squeezed down into the line of scrimmage, and what did Eckler do? He saw that this man did what he wasn't supposed to do. Eckler bounces off the line of scrimmage outside and goes around Terrion to pick up the first down.
Yeah.
And I remember Tom Brady even made the call during the game, like Terrion Arnold can't do that. Like that's a
Mhm.
rookie mistake.
Yeah.
So if I see it, I never played a single down in the NFL. If you see it, if other people see it, why in the hell don't you see it as a corner? To me, he has some brain farts out there too. But
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, the only way to stop the NFL from picking on you as a corner is to start making some plays. If you don't make any plays, they're gonna keep cutting your throat
Mhm.
consistently.
Yeah.
So, yep,
Yeah, he can be out of the league quick, man, doing it that way. But I like the way they handling it right now. You know what I'm saying? Dan Campbell is a guy. He does like make adjustments. He does. If it's something's not working, he's doing something about it. You know what I mean? And I like that they're doing it early in the season. Hopefully, I made a comment when I seen because I think what were sports on Instagram was asking fans like what they thought about the situation. And I said, listen, you're not gonna get rid of them. So I think the best thing to do is it with any young player is to kind of let them take their breath. You know what I'm saying? Put your arm around them, show them what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Show them what they, and maybe it might pay dividends later. You know what I'm saying? Just to teach you. I'm just saying, well, right now you got coaching that you got to lean on right now. I mean, you're not going to cut Terran out on in week 4 of this year. You know what I'm saying? Before the draft or anything like that. When the draft comes, now then we can talk about what we need to do. But yeah, I think this coaching staff is handling it the right way. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just want to get in a couple comments while I seen Billy and Brent. What's up, Brent? Uh yeah, good question. I think that the last game it kind of you're right, Billy. I think well, not that you're right, but I will just say this. I thought that Johnny Morton said that he was going to use a lot of two back set, like during before training camp, training camp type thing. But I think now they see they tried it against Green Bay and it didn't work. I think they probably will go back to it at some point because this is a long season. We're only in week 4. So I think that they will go back because I think it's a lot more stuff to this offense. Walton, correct me if I'm wrong. If I think that it's another level this team has. I think they haven't even shown everything yet. You know what I'm saying? I just think that everything was so black and white against Baltimore where they said, F it. We just gonna punch this team in the mouth. I think the Lions dictated how they wanted to play that game. And I think they deliberately just ran the ball. They did switch them up, put, Montgomery in there. Then they had Gibbs, but I don't know to an extent how much you want to use the double back set. You know what I'm saying? Maybe as a decoy, you put Gibbs in motion, that type of thing, and go. But I do think it will come to fruition this year. I think they will run some of it. Like I said, I just think it's kind of been vanilla because the Lions just been mauling people the last 2 weeks. They really haven't pull it out, like more looks formation wise, what I mean. So even St. Brown said it's a lot more stuff that they haven't even done yet. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
and then Brent's question, about exploit against the edges, I agree. I think that I Baltimore's game, I thought we would exploit the edges, but we kind of didn't need to because we had so much success running up the middle on them, so we didn't need to do it. I think yeah, to answer your question, I think we will get to it this week. I think that's why I think I can just see a scenario where Jameson Williams is they throw the ball over their heads, man. They're gonna over because Jim Schwartz like to over pursue, if I'm not mistaken, defensively. And Jameson Williams they're gonna throw the ball right over their heads. You know what I'm saying? I can see Jameson Williams with a couple touchdowns in this game. And I can see the edges being really exploited. I can see you running a lot of those duo runs. You probably don't because correct me if I'm wrong, Walt. If you do a duo run, you got the option of handing it off inside or bounce it outside, right? But you got to have both backs in there to do that, right? Correct? Is that which?
um, not necessarily. Typically, with duo, you're talking about depending on the type of defensive tackles you matched up against on the interior, whether it's a nose tackle lined up over the zero, or you got a two tech or a three tech, it's all going to be predicated off what the defensive tackle's alignment is. So typically in duo, if you got a center that can handle a nose tackle head up, now you got a situation where you can take Panay Sewell and Mahogany, or you can take Taylor Decker and Ratledge, and they can go ahead and they can double team Miles Garrett. And I think that's honestly what they're going to do. They're going to double team those two edges. Hopefully, Glasgow, which I'm not so confident he can, but somebody can handle Mason Graham on the interior, because Mason was destroying Green Bay last week.
Mhm.
A 43% pressure rate is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, I think our offensive line is better than Green Bay's. We like to run, at least Ben Johnson loved to run a lot of duo
Yeah.
the last few years when he was here. But yeah, I think that's how you attack a team, a defensive front like Cleveland. You go ahead, you put two hats on Miles Garrett, you put two hats on whoever's on the other side. Yeah, that's if you feel like you need it, or you put two hats on Miles Garrett, and then you put two hats on the interior
Yeah.
on Miles, not Miles Graham, Mason
Mason
Graham,
Graham.
and then you go ahead and you let Ratledge, you let Glasgow handle whoever they need to handle one on one. I think that's going to be the best approach, honestly, to handling that Cleveland Browns front. I
Yeah.
agree with Brent one wholeheartedly as far as the cornerbacks, and that's the thing about us. We force you defensively to put your cornerbacks out there to tackle.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to, whether it's Gibbs bouncing it outside or it's Montgomery bouncing outside. We're gonna see. We're gonna test your corner to see if they really want to get out there and tackle. Now, Jim Schwartz, you can't play corner for Jim Schwartz and not be able to tackle.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
Schwartz ain't playing that. But I do want to get back to Billy's comment, because I did find some stats, not necessarily on them. I have to go to the advanced stats to find out in regards to what Gibbs and Montgomery numbers are when they're both in the game at the same time. But they're undefeated over the last 2+ years. And you got these stats here, man. Yards from scrimmage over the last 2 years. Gibbs and
Oh,
Montgomery
yeah.
have a combined 4,417 yards from scrimmage, which is wild. They got a
Mhm.
combined 39 touchdowns over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Also, they've scored. This dog over here really chewing this bone loud. Loud as hell. The meat is gone off the bone, man. Leave it alone. Um, they've scored a touchdown each in the same game 11, or NFL record 11 times. They both ran for, so it's like the recipe's there. It's not Jared Goff throwing the ball 40 times, 55 times. We saw he barely threw for 200 yards last week, and they cracked 38 points.
Yeah.
We're at our best when Gibbs and Montgomery are the offense, and everybody else can play off that. People made a big deal about um, Jameson Williams not catching the pass after the first possession of the game, and they wanted to see where his head was at. Like JMO said, I want to win. That's it. At the end of the day, I want to win. He knows he's gonna have his game.
Yeah, he'll get his. Yeah, hell
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
he gonna get his.
he'll get his. Yo, and I think Laporta too, to an extent. Them the two guys I highlighted because I do think, like you said, we got too many weapons, man. That's just what it come down to. I think when all else fails, the Lions can play it like, when all else fails, let's just say if we giving up points, or we can't stop the other team, whatever particular Sunday, we could score. I think that's what we bring into the table every Sunday, Sunday or Monday, whatever we play. I think that the way this season, the schedule don't look as tough as it did the beginning of the season. It's amazing what a couple wins do to a team's confidence, to a team's outlook on the season, because now, okay, not to play the scheduled game, but they next three games are all winnable, man, before they play Tampa at home for Monday Night Football before the bye. I mean, here
The
against
Chiefs.
Cleveland, yeah, you got Cincinnati, then you got the Chiefs. You mean to tell the Lions can win all, then the Monday night game. So the schedule, which seemed to be so daunting at the beginning, I mean, it's not like,
Well, things change.
yeah,
What's his name got hurt too. We thought we were gonna see Joe Burrow.
yeah, he hurt,
Joe's not there. We got a different JB.
Yeah,
Jake
yeah, Jake
Browning.
Browning. Yeah, I think he went to Washington. I think Jake
Yeah,
Browning.
Jake went to Washington. Yep.
Yep, and it's
Played with
almost
Levi and Wuzarike, matter of fact.
yeah, yep, he sure did. Um, so I like the opposition. For me, I just don't want to be able to. Uh, I just don't want to get into a close game. Super random. What's up, man? I don't want it to be a situation where we keep this game close and make it a close game where then something crazy can happen in the fourth quarter. You get, a sack, fumble, or you throw an interception or something, and it may, or for somebody fumbles the ball, special teams, something to give them guys the confidence to like, oh, we in this game, we can steal this game this Sunday. So we don't want to be in a position where we can't blow this game because mental relapses or something like that. So people say, well, they may not be up. There was a emotional win last Monday. You know what I mean? But I think that this team, Dan Campbell won't let this team uh, you know, take the Browns lightly. You know what I'm saying? I think that, what would be impressive for me, let's just say we put 40 on the Browns. Then I was like, whoa, if they do that, man, I'm really like this season could turn into something special because I'm not expecting them to put up points like that this week. You know what I mean? I mean, you could defense does win championships, but you have a team right now in the Lions that can they're breaking records. It seems like they're breaking records every week on something like a new stat offensively. And I do think the tide is turning a little bit. And now people are on notice. And now people are back saying, oh, the Lions are back. The Lions are back with what they were 2 years ago, last year. And I really do think scoring a lot of points on this team would be a statement. That's the only thing I could come out of this game like overhyped. Like if they put up a 40 burger on the Browns, man.
Yeah, I
You know,
respect Cleveland. Especially
I
a,
do
a
too.
team, yeah,
Yeah.
especially a team that has the type of defense they have. But like I said, man, at the beginning of the show for everybody that's just tuning in now, I've been
Hmm.
saying this for 2 years.
Yeah.
If you look at our offense, it's going to be damn near impossible for a one-dimensional team to beat us. Because against us, you're going into a game where you got one hand tied behind your back, or you talking about playing one-on-one in basketball and you can't dribble
Hmm.
and you can't shoot. You might be a lockdown defender, but how the hell are you gonna win the game if you can't score?
Yeah.
And if you look at Cleveland the first 3 weeks of the season, they've been held under 20. You
Yeah.
lost to Cincinnati 17-16.
Yeah.
And then you scored 17 week 2 against Baltimore. And then
Yeah.
you lucked up and was able to win an NFL game with 13 points. You're not gonna win too many NFL games scoring 13 points. And
That's
like I
right.
said, I only believe that they was riding the momentum of the home crowd being at home. That's why they beat Green Bay. I still believe that if that game was in Green Bay, they probably lose at Green Bay. So unless you plan on being the 2000 Ravens, you gonna win what 7 straight games without scoring a touchdown, bro? Like
Uh-huh. Yeah.
that's not it's not gonna happen, man. I'd be shocked if they lost this game. I still believe we can start getting to the numbers too. Over under 44 and a half. Money line Lions minus 535. Browns plus 400. The opening line started Lions favorite by 10 and a half. Is at 10 right now. I think the Lions win the game. They cover those 10 plus. I think they cover those 10 points.
Ooh.
I'm gonna take the over simply
Ooh.
because, man, if you
Yeah.
they can't offensively, Cleveland can't even sustain drives, bro.
Nah.
Now I
Nah.
get it, Quinshawn Judkins, he's showing some signs of life, but Judy out there, Cedric Tillman, Njoku, he's pretty good. We
Mhm.
have had some issues dealing with tight ends. Last week, Mark Andrews had 6 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it's still Joe Flacco. He's a shell of what he used to be. Um, Averaging an interception per game as a quarterback is damn near benchable for that matter. And we mess around. He can't move either. We had 7 sacks on Lamar last week.
Yeah.
So Joe's going to be a sitting duck back there. He can't move. There's a chance we could see Shador Sanders. They made sure we're not going to see him.
Well, Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
treating him. Anybody out there ever seen Flowers in the Attic? Remember the movie? The Cleveland Browns treating Shador Sanders like he that child that they just don't ever want to see the light of day. They got
Yeah.
Shador locked upstairs in the attic feeding him rat poison. Yeah, so every now and then they check on Shador. How you doing?
Yeah. How you
Slam the
doing?
door back on him. I don't know
Yeah.
what the issue is with him, bro. Like, if y'all don't want the boy, leave him alone. Let him go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just don't see a pathway for the Browns to do it
Yeah.
unless we just have a big collapse. And we haven't had one of those collapses in about the last 2.5 seasons. So I got
Mhm.
Detroit winning, cover those 10 points, and I'm gonna take the over as well.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's going to be an over game as well. I see 28-20. I do think the Cleveland will get some points just because I think that the Lions are going to force them to be able to score. If they can't score when they get opportunities, meaning Cleveland, then they're going to get blown out. That's just the bottom line, man. I just think that I see a nip and tuck game and then Lions pull away. I think the Ravens beat the team, what was it, 41-17. So you got to figure it's going to be in that range to me. But like I said, I'll make it a lower score for the Lions only because I respect the Browns defense. And if they don't make any plays early, it could be a blowout. It could be, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to say Browns going to cover the points. 10 points is a lot, you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna go with that. Just Joe Flacco is, he is Joe Flacco. He still can make some plays out there. But the Lions are the better team by far. That's why if you the money line is plus 400. That's a huge amount. Basically, the money line is obsolete for the Lions this week because everybody picking them to win. So, but if the Browns pull it off some type of way, the money lines might what you want to go. So for me, I got the Lions winning by less than 10, and then I'm taking the over though for the score. So
Gotcha. So we can go ahead before it gets too late and start moving on to some of these other games. We know it's a lot of y'all out here. We got three key games, three games that you yourself wanted to highlight for this week, and we're gonna start with probably the biggest game of the week. We got undefeated Philadelphia Eagles at undefeated Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Philadelphia favorite by 3.5 on the road, which is a big number. May not seem like a big number to a lot of people out there, but being favored, two undefeated teams, one team, the road team being favored by 3.5 on the road is a lot of money. A lot of
mhm.
points there for that matter. Over under 44.5 money line. Philadelphia minus 192. Tampa Bay plus 160.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, broken to me. Yeah, broken to me. Yeah, Walt telling everybody to put 400 this week on the point spread. He want if go. I'm telling you, man, that made me nervous a little bit. And Trey finesse like me. I agree with Trey. That's how I feel, Trey. This game, who we got? Tampa, Philly, right?
Tampa, yeah, Philly at Tampa.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, man. I like the Bucks. I think it's a coin flip. I like both of these teams. I like the Bucks too, for some reason. But the only with them is they winning by the skin of their teeth every week. I think that
Yeah.
that's gonna be that's gonna come back to bite them if they don't get it together. I think Tampa gonna win the game outright this week. I think Philly should have lost last week. The Rams had that game won. They should have won that game last week. Jordan Davis just made an incredible play, man. Jordan Davis is phenomenal, man. So there you go. Players make plays and win the game sometimes, and that's what happened last week. So yeah, for me, I'm taking what's the over and under Walt on that one? I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, over and under 44. I think it's going to be under. I think it's going under. I think it's going to be a slow process. I could see a 20-17 win, 20-16 win. I got no faith in Eagles offense. I got Devonta Smith on my fantasy team. That was a terrible pick because it's like he don't even throw it to Devonta Smith. They don't even throw the ball. Period. It's crazy, man. In
They
Philly.
did last week when they was
Yeah,
handcuffed into doing it when
yeah,
they fell behind by 19.
yeah. I think the Bucks make enough plays. I like Bucky Irvin. I like Ibuka, who's really turned it on, man. Turned out to be a good player. Looks like Mike Evans. The defense is good. That Diaby is something else. Him and Kalijah Can. I like this team, man. I like the Buck. I like the Eagles too, but I'm taking the Bucks this week.
Yeah, I can see time of possession battle in this game. I'm gonna take the under two. I can see 23-20 Philadelphia or 23-20 Tampa for that matter. Um, what kind of concerned me last week about Philadelphia, I think they got exposed a little bit, was and I agree. I'm not gonna say the Rams should have won the game because you got to play for 4 quarters. And they completely just fell apart and just it was terrible the way the Rams and I want to get to that game too. Well, I want to get to the Rams for a second too in a minute because I want to get your opinions on what you think about what's going on with the Rams. But um, how easy they were able to run the ball on Philadelphia was kind of surprising, and
Yeah,
how Philadelphia on the other side of the football couldn't stop them. I
yeah.
mean, Philadelphia couldn't run the ball. So Blake Corum, um,
hmm
what's the name? Blake Corum and Kyron Williams
Kyron
averaging
Williams.
almost together. They were averaging almost 9.5 yards per carry. I don't understand how Stafford ended up with 27 pass attempts when you're averaging almost damn near 10 yards per carry between two running backs. Corum only had 12 carries, if I'm not mistaken. They got pass happy when they had no need to. And also the defense, I'm going to give the Eagles credit because once they put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands and told him to go ahead and bring the team back, I liked how he started feeding Devontae Smith the ball. He started getting Goddard the ball. He started getting A.J. Brown the ball, who's a beast out there. We saw what he can do. He was fired up. And then they were also at home. Um, like I said, I can see a 23-20 type of game, a time of possession type of game, simply because I believe the Bucks are going to run the football. Tampa wants to run the football. I like that stable of running backs they got. They will hit you with some play action to Mike Evans.
hmm
Emeka Ibuka, former Ohio State Buckeye, he's hit the ground running. When a lot of people thought that, he may struggle a little bit early on because he's not the biggest big time athlete out there, but he looks pretty good. Um, and I'm interested to see how the Philadelphia Eagles can they run the ball on Tampa. Because I said before the season started, I felt Tampa's defense. I had them in my power rankings as the seventh best team in football, right behind Detroit at number 6 before the season started. Because I felt Tampa's defense was going to be elite. And honestly, that's what's keeping them in these games. And I
Yeah,
agree with you wholeheartedly. The same thing we said about Philadelphia 2 years ago. Okay, you winning. When you winning and you winning close games late, what's the first thing everybody say? Winning is the best deodorant. So you winning all these games close. What do they say? Oh, you're mentally tough. You're gritty. You're big time in big moments. Okay, but we talking about the NFL where the talent is kind of spread evenly across the whole board. You're not gonna just keep winning games based off of other teams making late second mistakes. The Jets are decent, but that's a team with a brand new quarterback. Well, multiple quarterbacks because it was Tyrod Taylor last week. The block kicks on special teams. There was a lot of other stuff going on in that game that led to Tampa eventually pulling it out. But this is their biggest challenge. Tampa, they beat Houston. Who did they beat week 1? Tampa.
uh,
Because I know it wasn't Atlanta.
Atlanta
Atlanta,
Falcons.
they don't look like they're any good right now. And they won last week, but Philadelphia, this is when you're the Eagles and you're the Super Bowl champs, you become everybody's Super Bowl. So they're going to get the Philadelphia. They're going to get Tampa Bay's best effort today. That crowd is going to be loud there. Of course, they're going to be into it. So, like I said, I'm going to take Tampa Bay. Not Tampa Bay. I'll take Tampa Bay to cover those points. 'Cause like I said, I can see a 23-20 type of game, and that's also means I would go right along with the over, not over, but the under. Let's go on to strange game. Uh the
Yeah,
Tennessee Titans at Houston. I got Houston winning this game. 7 points is kind of big for me, simply because Houston hasn't been any good at all. That offensive line hasn't been any good. The offense has struggled to get the rushing attack going. Um,
yeah,
Nico Collins can only do so much out on the perimeter. He seems to be nicked up consistently.
yeah,
And CJ Stroud is a guy that he's elite from the pocket when you give him time. But even going back to when CJ was at Ohio State, CJ don't move well. CJ isn't good when he's uncomfortable, and people got to stop assuming the black quarterback is athletic. Every black quarterback ain't athletic, man. Some of them like to stand in the pocket, survey the field, and play point guard to distribute the football. If you can get pressure on CJ Stroud, that offense is over with.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Tennessee Titans, man, that's a fan base that's calling for their head coach. He had a horrible game he called last week. I
Mhm.
counted about a good 4 or 5. And as an NFL head coach, you can't have 4 or 5 bad decisions in a football game.
Yeah.
I felt he probably, if they would have fired Brian Callahan last week after last week's game against the Colts, it would have
Mhm.
made sense because he had a terrible game. And his team looked terrible last week. The tackling was awful. The discipline was awful.
Yeah.
That offensive line, as many resources as they've invested in the offensive line, going back to the NFL draft the last 2 3 years, the offensive line is still terrible. I think Tennessee is a dumpster fire right now. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
take Houston to win the game. I still think it's a close game. I don't think they cover those 7 points though.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. I highlighted this game because I think that Texas season on the line. They could not afford to lose this game. They go 0-4, and the Colts are already 3-0 already. I think they'll be in trouble, man. The Texans have to win. I expect them to win. I expect them to just drop a bomb on the Titans this week, man. I mean that this is my for sure play of the week. I think that Texans gonna win and cover the 7. I think they have to because if they don't, the season's over in Houston, man. Like you said, because how could you explain to your fan base and to everybody that had high hopes for the Texans to start off 0-4? I think that's it's inexcusable for this team how good the defensive line appears to be. You know what I'm
You
saying?
think D'Amico Ryan's feeling the heat?
Not
Because I
yet,
think
not
once you
yet.
go and fire the offensive coordinator, because they did fire the offensive coordinator, so that's usually the first step before the coach gets fired.
Before the coach get his, yeah. I mean, it's no excuse, man. No excuse. I do think this game gonna turn out to be a shooter. I'm gonna say over the 39 too. I think it's gonna go over. But I got Texans at home.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under simply because I think Houston's defense is still pretty good. So it's gonna be tough for Cam Ward and Tennessee to ever really get anything going. As bad as the Titans defense was last week, the Colts offense, not the Colts, the Houston Texans offense is just as bad. You still got Jeffrey Simmons out there in the middle of that defense, Devondre Sweat, some other guys. So I can see a 20-17 type of game, maybe even lower than that. Because you get a lot of those 17-14 type of games when it comes to those AFC South teams as well.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, it's just so hard to say because neither one of these teams are good at all
Hmm.
right now. The Colts didn't surprise me. The Colts went in there and they handled Tennessee in the home opener last week the way they were supposed to because the Colts right now are a better team. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to roll with Houston to win the game. If you're trying to make the money, you could always bet on Tennessee to cover those 7 points. But
There you
I
go.
don't know. I think after this game right here, heads could roll on either side. If Tennessee goes out there and plays badly, as bad as they played last week and lose, Callahan's gone. And
Hmm.
if Houston loses to Tennessee, we could see a situation where D'Amico Ryans, it could be knee jerk, but D'Amico Ryans could be gone. So, very interesting game, I think, for you fans out there to keep your eyes on. And
Yep.
before we get out of here, man, because we just talked about these teams, Colts at Rams,
Yep.
undefeated Colts, um, playing at the St. Louis Rams, playing at the LA Rams right now. The LA Rams coming off a very heartbreaking loss last week. Uh, I think a loss like that could cripple them because you feel like you should have won last year in the playoffs if it wasn't for that fumble
Yeah.
at Philadelphia, and it kind of felt like. And I talked to some Eagles fans about that game last week when they were down by 19. Every Eagles fan I talked to said watching that game, it felt like the Rams thought that was their Super Bowl, and they were up by 19, and McVay smiling and high fiving each other, the players high fiving each other. Like, dude, it's midway through the second quarter. What the hell is y'all high fiving about?
Yeah.
Like y'all do realize y'all playing Philadelphia and y'all on the road, but to have a team kind of cut your heart out the way they did,
Yeah.
I think that can be crippling for the Rams. So Rams lose this game, man, because the Rams got some big games coming up later on this season. They got us too.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the Rams right now, man, and how huge this game is for them?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think that the Rams, Puka Nakua, I think he doesn't have a touchdown pass yet. So far this season in 3 games. I think that sometimes when lofty expectations is put on a young team, they got to figure out how to respond to it. You know what I'm saying? Because they basically they got to work through the kinks and work through like teams coming after you because people coming after the Rams because like you said there's NFC contender. You know what I mean? You do have an aging quarterback. I think Matthew Stafford when a quarterback gets that tap on the shoulder by Fat Father Time, man, it happens quick. Not saying that it's happened yet with Stafford, but he's played a lot of football, man. You know, a lot of injuries. You know, it's nothing that he hasn't been through, you know, in NFL organization and on the football field. So I do think that Stafford and the Rams are leaning towards the run game a little bit more. And I think teams are realizing that and they're stopping the run right now. You know what I'm saying? To the point, I mean, they're trying to load up the run and make Stafford beat them. And I don't know, like you said, getting too pass happy, that may not be the best thing. But I think this week they can do it because I think the Colts are good. I'm not taking anything away from the Colts. They're good. But I think you may want to try to bait the Colts into trying to outscore you because I think the Rams do have the advantage. The Colts has some very good play in general. I love Jonathan Taylor, man. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like he took a year off last year and he ready to play ball this year. You know, Daniel Jones or the resurgence of him. So the Rams has got a young team, a young defense. I think some mental fine tuning. You know, by the end of the season, I think the Rams gonna be fine. Though I think they will probably have more losses than they probably expected, but I do think this is still a playoff team. I think the NFC West is now interesting with the 49ers. You know, looking like they're going to be a contender this year for that division. So therefore, I think the Rams could have maybe 2 or 3 more losses that we didn't pencil them in to have this year. You know what I'm saying? Just because of that.
No,
Um,
I agree. I agree.
but I do think the Rams get right. I think they're gonna win the game and cover. I think it's gonna be an over game and they're gonna cover the points.
I'm gonna take the Colts. And I'm gonna
That
take the
plus
Colts.
160, Walt, you take it. That plus 160 calling your name right there.
Yeah, mainly because I can only give you so much credit based off of the talent you got. I know a lot of people said they were going to be contenders based off of Devontae Adams and Puka Nakua and Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay calling the plays. And you look at all of those pass rushers they got on defense. At some point in time, you got to show me something though on the field. And if you go through the Rams' first 3 games of the season, Houston has proven to not be good at all. And it was it 14 points. You scored 14 points against Houston. You beat Houston 14-9. Week 2 against the awful Tennessee Titans, you beat them, of course, 33-19. I don't give you any kudos or credit for that. And then you blew a 19-point lead last week at Philadelphia. So if we're not just looking at the roster of the Rams and we're trying to look at them overall and judge them based off what they've done the first 3 games of the season, just being honest, man, the Rams haven't shown me shit at all. Beating the Houston Texans, who aren't any good, 14-9, proves nothing to me. Beating the Tennessee Titans, who are nothing right now, 33-19, proves nothing to me. Going to Philadelphia and blowing a 19-point lead to the Philadelphia Eagles spoke volumes to me. And the Colts, not punting the first 2 games of the season, being able to run the ball as well as they've been doing it with Jonathan Taylor, being able to get Tyler Warren involved. Tyler Warren's a monster out there. Tyler Warren's a monster out there. The tight end, rookie tight end out of
Yeah.
Penn State,
Oh yeah.
he's involved. Pittman's involved. Your boy Daniel Jones seems to be having a Sam Darnold like type of renaissance
Hmm.
with a brand new team, which makes the Giants as an organization look even worse right now. Y'all tried to embarrass this man. Remember they tried to make him a tight end before they let him go.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
had him working out on scout team at tight end. So y'all tried to kick the boy while he was down before he even left, and now he's with the Colts right now, making y'all look like complete idiots. But like I said, through the first 3 games of the season, the Rams haven't shown me much, bro. I think this Colts game is going to be it needs to be a must win for them because, like I said, judging off the beating up the AFC South, we talked about the Lions beating up the AFC South last year. Beating
Yeah,
up on the AFC South doesn't prove nothing to me, man. You blew a game at Philadelphia that should have been a
yeah, that's
mandatory get back game for y'all.
yeah.
Y'all couldn't
That was
lose that.
right. That was a win, man. They should have won that
Yes.
game.
And the
Man, that's
Colts are physical. I'm thinking
mhm.
that's what it is. Like these physical teams, the Houston Texans are a very physical football team on the defensive side of the ball. That Rams offense looked bad for 3 quarters against Houston. And like I said, you got some get right week 2 against Tennessee.
Mhm,
They're on the verge of firing their head coach. They may be firing the GM too. So I
mhm.
don't know much really to make of that, but I'm gonna take the Colts. I believe more in the Colts right now and their formula for winning than I do the Rams. The Rams got some stars over there, but it don't matter if you're not putting it all together on the field. I'm gonna take the Colts to cover they'll cover those 3.5 too. I think they win outright, and I can see the Rams, but the over under, I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring game
I don't think
because I
so.
like what the Rams were able to do defensively against the Eagles rushing attack. So that's gonna be interesting to see if they can handle um what's the name of the running back? Jonathan. I'm about to say
The John
Jonathan Stewart.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. If they can handle the
Yeah.
Colts offensively, and also Daniel Jones likes to get out and move a little bit too. So
Mhm.
it's going to be interesting to see if they can handle the Colts. I don't think they can. I think that loss to Philadelphia last week could turn out to be something that
That looms the whole
downfire.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I
So I'm gonna
got you.
take the under. I can see a 21-17 type of game, honestly.
Yeah. I got you. Understood. Understood. Just before we get out of here, I realized PFF matchup highlighted this week was uh Miles Garrett, his PFF rating 91.4 against Penny Sewell 92.1 PFF. That's a highlighted matchup this week for PFF football. Can't wait on. I really just I'm intrigued by this game, man. Yeah, yeah, broken to me, man. I appreciate you, man. We do, we both do. We appreciate everybody, Trey, Brent, everybody came out, Billy, Super Randall. Yeah.
Don't listen when it come to making the money, man. Listen to me every now and then. I'm gonna be honest with you. Listen to me every now and then. You know why? Because John Jansen mentioned this on 97.1 the ticket earlier the week. We both have me and him, John Jansen. We both have a tendency to overthink football too much. I
Mhm,
base too much when it comes to betting and gambling. I base too much on statistics and football reasons. And you have a little bit more calm down nuance when it comes to it. You're not as okay. Well, this goes with this and this goes with that, so that means that this should happen this way.
mhm.
That's what happened last week.
Yeah,
I had a terrible week last week. I was
yeah,
8-8 last week, but
yeah,
nobody expected to see all of those special teams blunders as well. But yeah, if you're
yeah,
trying to make money, don't listen to me.
yeah. Yeah,
Listen to me every now and then.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it just sometimes you have a feel for it. You know what I mean? Just knowing the team's tendencies and because sometimes you could throw all the stats out the window, man. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Sometimes the stats don't even matter. It just you got to have a feel for it, and to me, what catapulted me last week, I just felt the Lions had a better. They were better than what people were giving them credit for. I think that you got to go into coaching come into play, and I think that last week for me because the Baltimore game was the one that people was calling me crazy, saying that no way the Lions going to beat Baltimore. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just a feel thing. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to make it like rocket science or anything like that. But it's just sometimes you look at the situation. You look at now Green Bay. Now I did think. Remember when we played Green Bay week 1? The numbers showed that the Lions should have lost against the Packers because we've had that team's number. So we've had Green Bay's number for 3-4 years now. You know what I
No,
mean?
I agree.
You know what I mean? So they were bound to have a good performance and beat us, man. It had been a while since they beat us at Lambeau, just a period. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's all. I mean, we appreciate everybody, man. Good show today, Walt. We'll come back, beginning of the week, with our recap of the game. I'm really looking forward to it, man. 1 o'clock, and we don't have too many 1 o'clock games this season. I think the Lions and Ravens was what 222 million people watched that game. I think that was the highest Monday night total since 2008. So the Lions are the networks want the Lions on their network, man. You know what I mean? Later on in the year, I think we play on Christmas on Netflix. I think against Minnesota on Christmas Day. We got a Prime Video game. I think against the Cowboys. I think it is on a Thursday, December 4th. I think it is. So the Lions want an NBC. We play Kansas City. That's a Sunday night game. We got Tampa Bay on Monday night. So the Lions are a hot draw, man. And it's not by accident anymore. I think that teams just we got a team that's fun to watch. Our coach is polarized, and people are interested in what he has to say. People for the most part like Jared Goff. You know what I'm saying? Easy to talk to. He's not pompous. Like some people. I just like Aaron Rodgers just seemed like he's a dry interview. You know what I'm saying? At least I mean, he just seemed like he's just God's gift to being a quarterback. And I think that sometimes that rubs after a while. If you're not winning, and like you say, you can't have a podcast and you're not winning, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't be doing interviews and you're not winning. I think for the most part, Jared Goff is a winning quarterback, and people want to talk to him. So I like the way our team is trajected right now to do some to do, and it's changing the way I thought this season out. I'm just gonna say that to everybody right now. If we win this one, go to 3-1. I thought you had the. Wait a minute. I thought you got a house dog too. I thought you
Yeah.
had three. I thought you had three killers at home or two killers at home.
No, I got two killers. They back here chilling.
Okay.
He decided that the show was taking too long because usually when the show take too long over an hour, I don't know. Dogs can't tell time. But once the
Mhm.
show gets to an hour, they start coming out the bedroom, looking up at me like, "Okay, you done yet?"
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Yep.
decided to come over and I gotta
Yeah.
get his
Yeah.
ass to the
What's
groom.
his
So
name?
Diego.
Diego. Okay. Okay. Diego said it's time. Time is up. Lions Avenue is time up.
I will say this too, man. I think that there's still a stigma attached to the Lions because I don't think there was a reason for everybody to pick Baltimore last week. Baltimore didn't look good week one
Mhm.
defensively against Buffalo. And then if you look at, the Cleveland game, Cleveland can't really score for that matter. And I get it. I think a lot of it is still predicated off of that bad stigma, that losing stigma being attached to the Lions by some people. But to hear people say, okay, the Lions beat the Baltimore Ravens, now you're legit. Nah, dude. This team been legit for the last 2 years. Y'all just didn't want to believe it. And now they start to see it because the rushing attack is real. The wide receivers are real. The tight ends are real. And when the Lions are on their A game, I don't think the only team I think in the league's A game you can kind of compare is Philadelphia. And those are the defending champs. I think that when we go into Dallas, not Dallas, when we go into Kansas City in a couple weeks, we should be favored over Kansas City. If we're not favored over Kansas City,
Yeah.
it's the stigma
Yeah.
because we're obviously a better overall team than Kansas City right now. That's another team that can't score. They struggle to really score, and they damn near choked away that game to the Giants. Only reason the Giants didn't win because the Giants are a dumpster fire offensively right now. So
Yeah.
I think this whole notion that okay, we're 5 years into this rebuild. Well, the team is built now. It's no longer a rebuild, but we're 5 years into this, and team people are still talking about okay on a week to week basis. Lions beat this team. Now they're legit. Or now you
Yeah.
beat this team. Now you're legit. No, we're legit. We're legit contenders. We're no worse than anybody else. The
That's right.
Philadelphia Eagles don't look great every single week, but we give them credit because they're the defending champs and they pull out games. But at the end of the day, we've looked better, I think, than Philadelphia. To me, in my opinion, I think offensively as well as defensively, we're not undefeated, but we've looked better than Tampa Bay. So you can make the argument that our A game is better than anybody else's A game out there. We haven't seen Kansas City with an A game since Tyreek Hill left. If we just being honest about it offensively, and Philadelphia Eagles and not throwing the football unless they absolutely forced to throw the football, that can be something that could also come back to haunt them as well. So,
Yeah.
all right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here, man. We want to thank everybody for waking up this Saturday morning once again and joining us. We love these Saturday morning shows. Very, very grateful for everybody getting up this morning and joining us. We know Saturday mornings, I slept in a little late too. I didn't get up
I
till
did too, man.
I didn't
I
get up
did
to
too.
8:16, matter of fact, but I couldn't miss this because we know me and this man loves it. Y'all love it as well. And we love the fact that y'all join us every Saturday and y'all patronize the video. Make sure if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, y'all head over to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. We desperately need that support. And everybody enjoy your Saturday. Till next time, Lions Pride.